Let me begin by thanking Jan Jarrett from Penn Future and Steve Stroman, their policy leader at Penn Future, for bringing together this diverse group of individuals that all share a common interest in the environment. Whether you're an environmental group, or you're a conservation group, or you're a wildlife management organization like the Fish Commission, or the Game Commission, or the Pennsylvania Federation of Sportsmen's Clubs, or United Bow Hunters, we've got a broad coalition from those who are interested in everything in all perspectives relative to conservation. So let me thank Jan and Steve for pulling everybody together, and let me compliment everybody that's part of this broad-based coalition. It's been a while since I've seen such a broad-based network out fighting to articulate good public policy. Well, it's not that long ago, actually. We did some good things together when we created Growing Greener. But Growing Greener is suffering from some growing pains. Growing pains insofar as the demand for the revenue that we need to invest in environmental protection and environmental infrastructure and cleanup, the demand is greater than the availability of money. And in these tough financial times over the last few years, we've seen line items in budgets move that's basically, in the end, shortchange what we need to invest in the environment. This is an opportunity for us to put in place a revenue stream to benefit all of Pennsylvanians, to benefit our local counties and municipalities that are impacted, that are on the first wave of this development and are impacted by it. Our municipalities and counties need to derive some benefit from this as well for the local taxpayers. Obviously, we need to make, long-term secure a funding source to augment Growing Greener, to protect the environment, to clean up the environment, and to manage all of our wildlife resources. This is the opportunity that we have before us today. We can't squander that opportunity. Pennsylvania has been noted as one of the very few states, that produce natural gas that do not apply a gas severance tax to it. As a matter of fact, there are a few states, but they're not very significant. Pennsylvania imports 4 times as much natural gas as we develop and use ourselves. So to the extent that almost every other state has a severance tax, most Pennsylvanians are already paying it. It's built into the price of the gas that they pay, whether they're a business, industrial, commercial, or homeowner. It's built into the price of your gas. So what we're proposing is that we apply that same severance taxes next door in West Virginia, one of our competitor states. We apply that same level of tax to a product that's going to be drilled right here in Pennsylvania. And that natural gas is going to serve not just the needs of Pennsylvania homeowners and businesses and industry, but it's going to be used to power the Northeast Corridor as well. But I will point out to you that Pennsylvania is unique compared to other states because the supply of natural gas is right here and the market is right next to us. It's not like Texas and Oklahoma, which are, more than 1,000 miles of pipeline away. That gas is being drilled in Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and other states, significant gas-producing states. And between 45 and 50% of the cost of natural gas that you pay involves transportation costs. So somehow those drillers and gas companies figure out a way to drill it way down in Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana, and they pump it through the gas transmission lines all the way up to Pennsylvania. And we pay the price for that transmission cost and for that severance tax. Well, this Marcellus Shale is right here. It's not going anywhere. This large play can't be moved. So we have a competitive advantage in terms of developing this resource right literally under our ground here in Pennsylvania. The market is here in Pennsylvania and in the Northeast Corridor. The transportation costs from Pennsylvania to the Northeast Corridor are but a fraction of what the transportation cost is of gas from Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and Arkansas up to the Northeast. So we have that significant cost advantage that we must keep in mind. Let me just quickly also respond to two criticisms that have been raised by those in business and industry relative to this tax. And I want to give you a little different perspective on it. Well, you know, they say we shouldn't have to pay a severance tax and pay a corporate net income tax at the same time. The good people, Sharon Ward at the Keystone Research Center, have documented that in essence there are many of these companies, many of these drilling companies are from out of state. They form subsidiaries in Pennsylvania, and they are not registered C corporations. They do not pay the corporate net income tax, which on paper is 9.9%. Many of them are registered as LLCs and other corporations, and they pay the personal income tax level of 3.07%. So those companies that are paying maybe a corporate net income tax of 6, 7, 8% in another state are paying far more business taxes than they're paying here in Pennsylvania. They're paying the same rate of tax as you and me and the bus driver and the person that plows the field and the person that hauls the gravel into these drilling sites across Pennsylvania. So they already have a significant tax benefit by being able to pay the 3.07 rather than the 9.9. Now one other point that industry makes that I just want to take this opportunity to offer a different perspective. They say, look, this is a new industry. You shouldn't tax a new industry. We want to nurture this business. We want to nurture this industry. We want it to get it to grow. I guess implicit in that is we should tax it sometime in the future after it's really gained a foothold here in Pennsylvania. I have a little different perspective on that. And this is what it is. The drillers drill the gas. They sign lease agreements with property owners. And they pay whatever they negotiate for that lease. Then the drillers drill that gas. They sell it to the major pipelines. They build into their price the cost of doing business when they sign those long-term agreements with the pipelines. They know what their material costs are, they know what their energy costs are, they know what their labor costs are, and they know what their tax obligation is. They will build that into the price they charge the pipelines. The pipelines will then pipe this gas, mostly to the Northeast markets, sell it to distributors, who will in turn distribute it and build it into the price that they charge homeowners and businesses and commercial and everybody else up and down the Northeast corridor. So in essence, in the end, this is like a pipeline, it's a pass-through tax. Okay? But if you wait, if you don't do it up front, when you develop your business model and you know what your cost structure is and you build that cost structure into your contract with the pipeline, if you don't do it now, you won't do it later on. Because once those drillers have established long-term contracts with the pipelines, they don't break those contracts. Then you put a severance tax on, it will be a net profits tax, and industry will fight you tooth and nail at that particular point in time. So I would argue that the time to do this is now, not later. It's the right time to do it in terms of your business model and your tax structure. It's the right time to make investments in Pennsylvania's environmental and conservation infrastructure, and it's the right time to do this for Pennsylvania's interests in terms of dealing with our budget challenges this year. For those three reasons, we need to do it. We need to do it now. We need to do it this budget season, not next year. Do it now. Thank you.